This is Boston Chris with another great episode of the ETX ROCKS Show.
Louise here.
Descript.
Featuring all genres and styles of entertainment.
And coming to the ETX ROCKS.
Let's hear it from Louise, please.
From the unheralded and unheard to the legends and beyond.
Out of the box with ETX ROCKS.
It's awesome.
We keep them coming.
$5, that's pocket change.
Well, hey, y'all, this is Haley McDaniel. Are y'all ready for this?
ETX ROCKS Show is the greatest show of all time, okay?
We are ETX ROCKS.
The ETX ROCKS Show is the best show of all time, say? The other shows, you're good, you're real good. As long as we're around, you'll be second best, say?
Cut.
Howdy, folks. This is Aaron Watson. Thank you for tuning in to the ETX ROCKS Show.
Hey guys, Boston Chris here with another episode of the ETX ROCKS Show. And guys, we have a huge treat for you guys this time. I'd say maybe about 7 months ago, our good friend and host, Haley McDaniel, was telling me about a guy that she had found and started listening to named Dan Johnson. And she told me that Dan Johnson was the future of Texas country.
Whoa!
So I said, wow, Haley, that's
Way to start off the interview, buddy.
yeah, well, you know, she said, yeah, you got to check this guy out, Boston. And I was like, you know, that's big words, the future of Texas country. Man, it's great to have you here finally. We've been talking for over 6 months about making this happen. And I noticed last night on my Facebook wall that Dan Johnson was coming to Lindale.
My phone went off at like 12:03 a.m. and he said, "Hey, you're gonna be in Lindale later on today." Well, kind of today. More like tomorrow.
Well, I figured you were
technically
probably
today.
already asleep, and I was planning on you getting it when you woke up, whatever. But I got really excited, and I was like, "Hey, this is our chance. We can actually sit down and talk all things Dan Johnson," because I want folks out there to know this guy right here, because like Haley said, and a lot of times with the show, we're looking for the person that shines in their uniqueness and their individualism.
Thanks.
And man, I'll tell you, man, there's nobody within the Texas country genre that is more unique than Dan Johnson, and that's my opinion.
Dude, that means a lot to me. We spent a lot of time actually trying to figure out. Like Phillip and I were talking the other day about what song to release next, and so I came up with one. He said, "I don't think that's going to put out." He said, "I don't think that's your most unique stuff. I think you really need to do it." And when we're writing music, I've quite literally stopped and said, "This sounds too much like something anybody else would write." Stop, scrap it, and redo the whole thing again. Yeah.
Well, I mean, one thing I do love about you, and you know, you can go on his webpage. I think it's saltcedarrebels.com, right?
Yeah.
You can go on there, and that's his band. And check out his bio on his tour dates, and we'll talk about that, of course. But
Sure.
One thing you talk about on there is how when you are performing or when you're writing a song, even you're surprised by the influences that come through your pen.
Yeah.
When you're writing a song and you hear it back, I think one of the quotes you had on there was, you know, I write a song, I hear it back, and I hear Chris Christopherson in there.
Yeah.
I think that's incredible that it doesn't happen until after you hear it back.
No, and the funniest thing is, like, when I go back and I listen to, like, we were in the studio last week, and Adam Oder is the guy who's working with us to produce the album, and he says, I can hear these elements of, like, Tom Waits and Chris Christopherson. I was just like, you get me. Like, that's
Right.
I was really lucky to have some pretty tremendous influences. My dad loved music. My mom and dad loved music a lot, and we didn't have TV when I was growing up. We only had music.
Right.
And so I got just surrounded and immersed with music all the time. And mom and dad had extremely different styles. So mom leaned more toward like Motown, a lot of Motown kind of stuff. Or got to listen to a lot of Ray Charles, Aretha Franklin, that kind of thing. So lots of music with a lot of soul in it from that side. And then dad, growing up like in deep Kentucky where I grew up, it was mostly like Southern rock, old-fashioned country, some bluegrass influences, and so it's just there was a lot of stuff that got fed into me on a daily basis. And then the deal in the evening was we would take turns just telling stories, because there were 14 of us that lived on my farm, like, you know, between aunts and uncles and everybody.
Right.
Our entertainment was telling stories and playing music, and so I got to hear so much music growing up.
So, I mean, you were growing up with creativity around you because you didn't have the TV to force feed you that.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's awesome. So, Dan and Phillip, right?
Yes.
They're going to play us a song or two, and the first one is your recent single, which is called Troubadour's Prayer.
Right.
And this is the first song I ever heard you do,
Oh,
and
this is the
I
first
was
one you heard?
completely blown away. Haley was like, check this song out. Man, this song is it's so hard to describe because it doesn't need its own box. I mean, it's soul, it's country, it's got that little twinge of Americana in there as well. So tell us how this song came about, and then they're gonna play it for us.
The reason that I gave up my full-time job and started playing music full-time for a living was I happened to be in New Mexico in Red River, and I saw Walt Wilkins play a show, and it was just him and his guitar, and everybody in the audience was completely silent. I mean, just spellbound by his songcraft.
Well, they should be.
Yeah,
Walt Wilkins
exactly.
is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, he is arguably the finest songwriter I will ever know in my life. He's amazing.
I'm there.
And so I made up my mind to pursue music full-time, seriously. So time goes on, and I've been at it, I guess, a year full-time, and I was playing a Thursday night show at a place where there was nobody there. It was like me and the sound guy and the bartender. And I was having this moment of crippling self-doubt, where I was just like, man, this is the dumbest thing I ever did. Nobody cares, nobody's listening. This is never going to go anywhere. But I remembered, as I was sitting there singing my songs, I remembered watching Walt play, and I remembered thinking, I'll bet when he started, when he really dug into this, he got to do the same kind of thing, and now look what he's done with his life, and look how he's inspired me. And so I made up my mind to play for that bartender and the sound guy as if there was 1,000 people in the room. And I believed that if I would do that eventually there'd be 1,000 people there. And so I'm still in the middle of the same song, and as I finished that song, literally the door beside me, there was a door right by the stage, and it just goes wham, blows open, and people just filled up the entire bar. And it was a whole bunch of people that knew my songs, knew my music, and they had been planning on coming out to the show.
Wow.
And they were all having dinner and stuff before. So they came in and they were requesting songs and singing along, and my night went from absolute failure to this is the whole reason that I do this. And it was all at the moment that I made that choice. And so it seemed to me like an answer to a prayer. So that night when I went home, I wrote the song Troubadour's Prayer. And the way that it ended up on the album is our producer at the time was friends with Walt. And
Walt plays.
And Walt sings on it, yeah. So when the producer heard it, his name's Corby Schaub, and when he heard it, and I told him the story behind it, he said, dude, we should get Walt to sing the song with you. And I'm not exaggerating one bit. The minute that he said, we'll get Walt to sing the song with you, his phone chimed with a text message, and he picked it up, and it said, Walt Wilkins, how's your production meeting going? Yeah.
Oh,
Matt, I'm telling you, I told you, it'll make you believe in magic.
And we talk about God's timing a lot on this show. There you go, folks, right there. That's God's timing.
We all just sat there speechless. We're like that. Apparently, this is gonna be a thing.
Awesome.
So yeah, he hit up Walt, and we did the song together.
I'm gonna throw some high praise on this song. Personally speaking, this is the best story song, best Texas country song I've heard in the year 2017. Y'all check it out. This is Dan Johnson and Phillip on harmony. What's your last name?
Tiarina.
Did I get it?
Phil's we've got a very tightly knit group. We have the Salt Cedar Rebels. It's me and Phillip and Nick. And we're a very tight group. We pretty much do everything together. Nick couldn't be here tonight, so it's just me and Phillip playing tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
So make sure you check this out. This is an unplugged version of Troubadour's Prayer. Troubadour's Prayer.
Good.
By Dan Johnson and Phillip Tiarina.
So close.
Is that close?
I'm proud of you.
Check it out, y'all.
Cool.
Another Friday night beneath those hot stage lights, and I pour my heart out song by song, try to play them all just right. I hope I make them smile, hope I make them dance, hope they know I love them, but deep down I just hope they love me back. What's it worth? What's this all for? Do it all again, ask myself the same old questions one time more. I'm not sure what scares me more, how hard I can fall, or the chance to fly like I've never done before. I was just a kid when I started this. I picked up an old guitar and a couple of chords like my daddy did. I guess I wrote some songs that the people like, 'cause they call them out and they sing along night after night. What's it worth? What's this all for? Do it all again, ask myself the same old questions one time more. I'm not sure what scares me more, how hard I could fall with a chance to fly like I've never done before. Lord, let the heaven fade and the years be kind to me. Let that road be gentle on these weary feet. Can I ask you for a shot to show it takes just what I got? Or am I just a fool chasing this silly dream? Lord, let the heaven fade and the years be kind to me. Let that road be gentle on these weary feet. Can I ask you for a shot to show it takes just what I got? Or am I just a fool chasing this silly dream? What's it worth? What's this all for? I'll do it all again, ask myself the same old questions one time more. I'm still not sure what scares me more, how hard I could fall, or the chance to fly like I've never done before.
Hey y'all, this is Bree Bagwell. Thank you for tuning in to the ETX ROCKS Show.
All right, so we are back. As you guys can see, again, as you guys know out there, if you're following along with the ETX ROCKS Show, you know how much I love uniqueness, and especially a song that tells a story, and there you have it right there. Man, what a great song. I was telling him off camera, I think the song barely broke the top 100 in Texas. So I'm trying to figure out, Texas radio, why is that not worth it for y'all? Y'all need to get on the snuff with these songs.
Yeah, we were warned that it is very slow and very emotional, and that no matter how good a song is that it's difficult for them to play it in fast rotation if it's really slow like that, because your average listener really wants to listen to things that are fairly upbeat.
Right.
So for instance, like when we released Better Than This, which was our first single off that album, that one made top 40 pretty fast and stayed there. Well, but
I know you've had singles that have, come close to the top 10 as well. I mean, you've done really well with your songs.
We've had a few of them that have done, and so right now we're kind of on the fence trying to figure out what we want to do next. We've got a new album coming out. We just finished recording it last Friday, and so we think we probably want to drop one more single before that album comes out, because there's going to be about a 4 or 5 month time lag between finishing the album and it actually being available to the public.
Right.
So we've got enough time to put out one more single.
Of course, I think you should. And one thing I wanted to ask you about, because I know you've been doing this for a minute now. I mean, about what, 5 or 6 years?
4 years.
But it's been a while. Yeah. And I mean, something that's really kind of taken the country by storm here lately is what I call soul country. Yeah. You know, the Chris Stapleton and Sturgill Simpson and Chris Isbell and guys like that. You kind of did this before these guys came along.
I've got a funny story for you. So when our album first came out, before it was even released to the public, it made the rounds. Some people sent it out to some Nashville people. And I got this phone call one day from this guy. I'm not going to say which label it was. And he heard the album and he said, "We want to give you a spot on our record label roster." I was like, "Man, that's amazing." He said, "I've heard your stuff. I watched some videos of you playing live." He said, "You've got exactly what it is we're looking for. The only thing we really need you to do is you don't sound like anybody that's in pop country right now. We need you to re-record the music and make it sound more like, common pop country." And my only response was, "I really appreciate your call," and I just flat out never said another word. Well, I was telling that story, and I've had friends of mine, literally friends of mine, who said, "You're kind of a fool for playing music like you do. There's nobody who wants to listen to stuff like that." And and that was before Sturgill drops Meta Modern. Isbell's carrying the #1 album on country and rock simultaneously, same album. It's totally doable. It's just we've been doing it for a while, and finally some other folks have looked up and gone, "Oh, that's kind of a cool style. Maybe that's all right."
And do you feel like kind of rejecting that major label, is that is the main reason for that losing your freedom in your creativity?
I've got several friends in the Texas scene who have said it's you give up so much when you sign on. And a lot of times it happened for me when I was first starting out and I was opening for a lot of people, and they would share these, you know, bits of wisdom with me. Like we got on the bus with Randy Rogers one time, and just an amazing guy, and he literally said, "I'm going to tell you everything tonight that I wish someone would have told me when I was at your stage."
Wow.
And just because people are so freaking helpful. Zane Williams has been like that. Oh gosh, who else have we talked to that was just incredible? Jason Boland has been like that. Just super helpful people. And so what I've learned, Will Green, Mike Ryan, a lot of these guys that have said, make your music the way you want it, build your following the way you want it, and then bigger companies can distribute it, but they don't have control.
And I mean, we're talking about the guys that, as far as independent country goes in the state of Texas, have been there, done that.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly.
So I mean, I think it's phenomenal that they're willing to kind of reach out and try to help you out, because I mean, independent music, not just country, but music in general in Texas is its own beast, you know.
Well, dude, and you don't see competition among those of us that are playing, because we're fighting a much bigger battle against corporate influence music. Corporate influence music, I mean, like those, they can pick anybody. They don't even have to be able to sing, you know, honestly. And they can auto-tune and do all that kind of stuff, and if they throw enough money behind it, that's the next big cool thing.
And that's one of the reasons why I love this show, is because, you know, we sit you on a couch and say, play your guitar and sing. You know, we don't edit it, we don't do anything with it. Whatever comes out is what comes out. And I mean, I love having a show where we can kind of spotlight that in an unplugged environment, where if you don't have the talent, it's kind of bare. You know, and there's no doubt with Texas country. You know, I've never had a person come on the show where I was worried about, oh man, he's gonna play acoustic and it's gonna sound awful.
No, dude, you know, you gotta earn your chops around.
Oh, in this state, absolutely. And if you don't have a unique sound and style and great original music, you're not gonna make it in Texas. It's just that simple. And I think you take a trip, you know, 10 hours to the Northeast, go to Music City. You don't need all of that to make it up there.
Right. Yeah. There's. See now, and to their credit, when I go up there, now that I've gotten plugged into the songwriters, because when I first started going up there, I thought, well, I'm going to go try and, you know, pursue life as a musician. Well, that I realized very quickly that that's a little bitty fish in a great big pond. No matter how good you think you are, what I got plugged into is the songwriters, and still to this day, some of the most amazing, like people that'll just make you openly weep with the songs they're writing. But they're underground there, like they're hanging out in these like little bitty clubs. And they're still doing open mic night, like they're every night of the week.
They call them songwriter rounds.
Songwriter rounds, So when
I'm this person's written this song, which was #1 for 6 weeks, and they say his name, and you're like,
oh man, it's hilarious too. You'll sit in the songwriter round and you'll hear somebody go into a song, and you'll go, oh my gosh, that guy wrote that song for George Strait. You know, I mean, like it's that kind of thing. So it's those guys are still out there, and I have tremendous respect for those guys. And you know, the business side of things is the most stressful part of all of this. If I could just,
I know you do all of that as well. You do all the booking and pretty much everything.
Oh man, we need a management team so bad.
Just
like that's our next. I've realized why record labels take so much of your money. It's because they take so much of the work off your shoulders. You know, and I understand where the temptation is to do that. I don't want to go that way unless somebody just said you can have complete freedom, creative freedom. We're just going to take over all of this work part that drives you insane, because it wears me out, man.
And this album that you're working on now, or just finished, this is your second album?
This is our second studio album. We released a live bootleg, which was kind of cool. When we were talking about a little bit ago, you know, can you really play live and that kind of thing. A lot of the most famous songs that people like we cover Johnny Cash's Boy Named Sue. Well, that was a bootleg recording. There's a bunch of songs out there that are classic American songs that were just bootleg recordings. So we're like, let's do a bootleg. So we dropped that with 5 songs we'd never released before. That was kind of fun. Just mainly for our fans to go download. And then this will be the second studio album. This one is called Hemingway, and it centers around a young man who goes to the war, and he's in an IED explosion, and he comes back and he's struggling with thoughts of suicide as he's trying to reacclimate and try and talk to the people that were around him before. It's got 5 songs on it. They're all very long songs, and every one of them tells a story. But what you realize in the end is that it's one very big, long story, and these are all different characters throughout this. So it's a concept album, kind of like Red-Headed Stranger.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, that's awesome. I mean, I think one thing that's missing in modern music a lot of the time is the storytelling in a song. And I mean, that's never been lost on you. I mean, and I've listened to the first album, pretty much the whole thing, and everything is a story.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
One of my favorite memories from being a kid was I walked in one day, and my dad was laying on the floor, and he had these big 1970s headphones on, and he was just laying there, just completely silent. And I walked up and I kicked his foot. I said, "Dad, what are you doing?" He said, "Shh, come here." And he laid me down next to him. He took those headphones off and he put them on, and it was Ghost Riders in the Sky. And then he played me The Highwaymen.
Wow.
And those two songs that told stories, I was immediately sold on story songs.
Right.
And that's when I started getting into Christopherson, Willie Nelson, things like that, because I was like, I've never heard it.
How'd you feel about Marty Robbins?
Marty Robbins, love Marty Robbins. We cover one of his, or I cover one of his in the solo shows. First song I ever learned to play on the guitar was The Gambler. I was 6 years old, and my mom and dad got me a record player and a Kenny Rogers album. It's another story song.
Yeah.
You know, I've always loved that idea of being, you know, kind of a troubadour or a bard where you're telling the stories through music. So
and I think that's what makes you so unique in Texas, especially. I think a lot of people, there's a lot of edgy music in Texas now, where people are kind of on the fence between traditional country and the contemporary stuff.
Man, that's a thing. That's a thing for us, is that we don't quite fit the genre. The people who listen to our music, you know, like you've noticed, like if you get into it, you're like, man, there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, it's great.
The tough thing is that most people tend to lean more toward popular sounding music,
right?
Popular listening music, and even on the countryside, it's more like popular country, and we stay so far away from that we don't do ourselves any favors by not putting out pop songs. But yeah.
Well, I mean, the whole thing, the really cool thing about it, though, too, is, I mean, as much of a fan as I am of traditional sounding country music, I couldn't really put your music in that box either. I mean, it's just a mix match of so many different styles of music, and that's what makes it so just, I mean, the word was individualism that you use on your webpage. That is the best way to describe it, because there's nobody else doing it.
We've got, I don't know, what do we got, like 70 songs probably in the catalog, at least 70 or so. And so whenever we do a show, it's like we're trying to narrow down, okay, which songs we want to do, because we've got so much stuff that we've put together that I want everything to have that flavor of individualism. So that I had a business meeting with a guy a while back, and he said I'm not gonna work with your band. And he's a really cool guy. He was just being very honest. He said, I need a band that puts 1,000 college kids that drink a whole lot of beer in a big venue. He said, that's where I'm going to make money. He said, you'll put 100 people who will sit silently and listen, and that's cool for you. He said, but that's not what's going to make me money. And I'm like, well, that's not what really makes me much money either, but that's how I want to play.
Right.
I'd rather have 100 people who really want to hear what it is that we're doing.
And it all goes back to that Walt Wilkins experience you had in New Mexico. It's just people just kind of entranced by what he was doing.
It's the choice we've made. This next album, I don't think there's a song on this next album that'll fit on radio. The one that's probably the most palatable is six and a half minutes long. Yeah. It's like, sorry, it's not gonna work. So we're going for live. Our goals are live audience attendance, online listening, and satellite radio. Wow. Because that's the only place we're gonna really fit. You know. Now,
so I mean, your strategies are even kind of revolving around what your style is, and you refuse to change because of even Texas radio. I mean, you're just trying to find the outlets that will kind of cater to what you're wanting to put out.
Yeah, I would rather my crowd find my music and love it the way that it is than me go chasing crowds all the time trying to make something people like. So
that is amazing.
That's
awesome.
It's
man.
also
that's
really
great.
stupid, but thanks.
Well, no, it's really not though, because if it was really stupid, then your style would never exist.
That's the way.
And because I mean, if you think of it in that term, I mean, I might not be your average listener, but I appreciate music. I feel more than a lot of other people, whatever it is, it doesn't matter to me. I try to appreciate music because it's different.
And on your show, I mean, I've seen all different types of music, and that's one of the things I like about it too. Is that I mean, I've seen people from all different genres as long as they're good, you know. And that's man, we listen. How many different styles of music do we listen to on the way down here?
At least 10.
At least 10 different styles. We're just always listening to something different because just as long as it's really good, and that's all we want.
And that's a cool thing about the Texas country genre too, is there's so many different subgenres within it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you've got Texas swing, and you've got red dirt, and you've got Americana, and you know, the soul country. There's even some contemporary, obviously.
Yeah, there's Texas soul, there's Texas funk. I know bands that,
yeah,
you know, they're just it's all over the place, and that's what's cool is we all just that's why everybody just calls it Texas music, because there's so many different influences. I mean, like it's you know it's
basically like you can kind of stop caring about genre and just make music.
Yeah.
That's the.
I had somebody the other day say, you know, what kind of music do you play? I saw somebody asking another musician, and the musician couldn't really tell her. And he was like, I really can't put it in a box. And I was like, look, good music doesn't need a genre.
Yeah.
It's just good.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
You know, so if you like it, then it's good music, and you don't have to give it a label in order to like it.
Yeah. So and that's, you know, we were talking about before, you know, Spotify and things. I would love it if people bought albums. That would be excellent. But I know that a lot of people aren't. They're just going out searching for music, using YouTube, using Spotify, whatever it is. Please just listen to it and share it. That's, you know, keep good music out there, because we're fighting the battle of corporate music that gets crammed down people's throat, and everybody thinks that's good music until they actually hear good music. They're like, oh my God, I didn't even know this was out there.
And then come to the shows.
Yeah, and then come to the shows.
I always say, if you like it, support it, and find your own way to support the music, because there's so many different ways you can support music. You don't even have to spend a dime to support an artist. Like their page, follow their Twitter, share everything they put out.
Stuff, yeah, man. If you hear a good song, man,
it doesn't cost you a penny to share something to your 600 friends on Facebook.
That's exactly right. And then, you know, if we come to town, come out and, you know, heck, the show tonight's free. People just come in and, you know, eat a bite and listen to some tunes, and that's you know, go home with a T-shirt.
And I should probably let folks know, if you're watching for the first time, we're actually backstage in the green room at Love and War in Texas at the Lindale location. I definitely want to thank Ty Phelps and the people with Love and War for allowing us to have interviews out here with some of the best artists in Texas country and beyond. We're just super psyched to have this relationship. But you guys out there, if you're looking for something in East Texas that spotlights the best in country music, then Love and War is the place to go. They're located on Highway 69, just past downtown Lindale, going towards Mineola. It's right there on the right-hand side if you're coming from I-20. It's Love and War in Texas, Lindale. Make sure you're checking that out. All kinds of stuff out here.
They play the best of the best here, and they let us play too.
Yeah, they're here tonight. This weekend is kind of an ETX ROCKS hodgepodge. Tomorrow night is Brandon Ryder. He's been on our show. And Saturday night is Matt Kimbrough, who's also been on our show. So it's like it's super cool to see people that we've talked to come out here and we can actually see them live, because a lot of times we're talking on the phone with folks. Texas is a big state, you know, so talking to somebody from Amarillo,
it's a big state that feels like a small town somehow. I don't know how that works.
Well, it's all about the support. You know, it's having Will Green telling you, you know, stay true to yourself. That's what makes it feel like a small town.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's because everybody is so cool within the community.
Yep.
And I love that. So
I'm pretty lucky. Well, should we do another one and go play it?
So you guys check this out. This is my favorite song by Dan Johnson and the Salt Cedar Rebels. This is called A Place to Call Home. Incredible story song once again. Close your eyes and really breathe this one in, guys. A Place to Call Home.
Thank you.
I'm a traveler, a wayward rambler, like an old-time hobo out on the rails. But still you find me, and give me shelter, protect me from myself. Like a fool I'll run away, but you just give me a space to roam. Wait there patiently, a place to call home. You know how I am, I'll start to drinking, and I'll forget to stop. But you don't judge me, somehow you love me, for all I am and all I'm not. Stumble from another bar, ashamed I call you on the phone. Babe, I need you, I need a place to call home. I've given up on walked away from everybody that I know. You found me stranded, broken hearted, abandoned, like a stray out on the road. Gave me a gift I can't forget, a place to go home. I can't stand small talk, that's me in the corner, wishing everybody just leave me be. Until then you walk, you take me by the hand, speak the words for me. And in this loud and crowded room, I'm no longer alone. I'm a lonely soul, but you're a place to call home. I given up on, walked away from everybody that I know. You found me stranded, broken hearted, abandoned, like a stray out on the road. Gave me a gift I can't forget, a place to go. Sometimes I wanna look till the sun comes up. Sometimes I just wanna sleep. Sometimes I feel the weight of this whole damn world pressing down on me. But I can rest my weary bones on your foundation set in stone. You've never let me down, you're a place to call home. I given up on, walked away from everybody that I know. You found me stranded, broken hearted, abandoned, like a stray out on the road. Gave me a gift I can't forget. Gave me a gift I can't forget. Gave me a gift I'll never forget. A place to call home. 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 A place to call home.
All right, so that was another amazing episode of the ETX ROCKS Show. And we want to thank our guest, Dan Johnson, and his bandmate, Phillip, from the Salt Cedar Rebels. I'm not even going to try his last name again. I butchered it so many times. But we want to thank those guys for coming on the show in such short notice. We just talked to them less than like 12 hours ago, and just to make that happen in such short notice. You guys need to be checking out Dan Johnson and the Salt Cedar Rebels. They're really, really incredible artists. And if you're watching along with us for the first time, you can follow along with the ETX ROCKS Show at on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ETX ROCKS. If you're listening on iTunes, make sure you rate and review us. That will really help us out a lot. As we always say on this show, we want to thank you guys out there for supporting live local music. And don't ever forget, ETX rocks.
Hey guys, I'm Katie Lynn, and make sure to tune in to ETX Rocks with
Boston Chris.
This is Aaron Watson, ETX Rocks.
ETX Rocks, Alan Fox Band.
Hey guys, we're the Morning Madhouse. I'm Carter.
I'm Brandon.
I'm Ginger.
It's the best podcast ever made in all of history.
Hi, this is Paul Bebo, and ETX Rocks with Boston Chris Barnes. You're gonna love it.
ETX Rocks.
Hey, East Texas, DP here. ETX Rocks.
Hey, East Texas, we're Enduring House, a Christian rock band.
ETX Rocks!
Hey, this is Monty Pittman.
ETX Rocks.
Hey East Texas, Jaden Farnsworth, ETX Rocks.
Hey everybody, I'm David McCarty with the Gypsy Creek Band. As always, ETX rocks.
Hey guys, this is Chris Colston. Thanks for tuning in to the ETX ROCKS Show.
To the ETX ROCKS Show.
The ETX ROCKS Show.
Ho! Hey folks, I'm WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and I just want to make sure you support local music.
Hi East Texas, this is Chris Wayne.
And Crystal Clark with KYKX 1057. ETX rocks!
Hey East Texas, we're Lady Chaz and the Tramps. And just remember, ETX rocks.
Hey, this is Tom Freeman of ETX Rocks with Boston Chris.
Hey East Texas, I'm Waylon Hicks, and remember, ETX rocks.
Hey, what's going on guys? This is the one and only SP and Mexicano con Estilo. Make sure to support your local music and ETX rocks.
Hello, we're one way home.
Hey East Texas, this is Teaser.
Please continue to support local music.
And always remember, ETX rocks!
Howdy folks, this is Aaron Watson. Support local music and ETX rocks.
Hey, this is Chris Colston. Make sure you support local music
and ETX rocks.
Hey, this is Hannah Kirby. Thanks for tuning in to the ETX ROCKS Show.
Tough guy, ho!
Covering music-related content of all genres. If it filters through Eastern Texas, it's fair game. Y'all bring it. From Texarkana down to the coast and Dallas down to Houston and everything in between. We are ETX Rocks!